We're live. This is Lyndon on Coffee with Crainer, and today's a very special episode. It's episode 90. We're 10 away from 100, and I'm excited to share the 100th guest down the line. But today we have somebody very special. Patti France, or should I say Dr. Patti France, was also a recipient recently of the Honorary Doctor of Laws degree from Assumption University. But if you don't know, Patti is the president of St. Clair College. She was appointed the sixth president in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, and has a really cool story because she was also a St. Clair graduate, a student, part of the staff for a number of years, and is now president. She's also the recipient of a Athena Award in Windsor, Essex. That was in 2017. The Paul Harris Fellow Award by the Rotary Club, and so much more that we're going to talk about today. And Patti, I appreciate you being on the show.
My pleasure, Lyndon. My pleasure.
And just because we're on the topic of education, I had Dr. Rob Gordon on the podcast a bit ago. You can check out that interview on YouTube or coffeewithcrainer.com. But it's interesting to also talk to the head of the college. And to kick things off, Patti, I have a very tough question for you. Where near St. Clair College would be your favorite place for coffee if you had to pick one place?
Oh, that's easy. That would be, I'm not sure if it's that close to the college, but I live in Kingsville, Lyndon. So I go by Essex and I'm a McDonald's girl. So I like my large black coffee and I like it from McDonald's. So, and if the lineup is too long and I'm going to be late, then I'll take the one on Dougal.
Now, summer drink days are on. Do you dabble in the iced coffee at all?
No, unfortunately, I cheat enough when it comes to calories, so I stick to my black coffee and all is well. And I need my caffeine, so but I love a McDonald's coffee.
Don't we all? And just jumping a bit to some of the real questions, I guess you could say. How did this whole journey to becoming president really start for you?
Well, I was hired here at St. Clair College in 1987, so in April of 1987. So I've been here 35 years, and that's when everybody starts to try and guess your age. So anybody
25.
That's right. But I've been here 35 years and I have been really, really blessed, Lyndon, to be part of. I started as a transcript clerk in the registrar's office. I was hired by Mr. Bill Totten, who is an engaged and active retiree at the college. And I've been so blessed to have so many mentors in my life, but was support staff and then faculty and then management, and then moved up to be CIO and then vice president for a decade and a half. And then I was lucky enough to get the top seat in 2015. So again, I think that experience has given me a world of perspective from all different levels: academic, services, support, students. And throughout my journey, have always been blessed and engaged to have lots of students provide input, officially, unofficially, and really keep me grounded. Sometimes I think I know what's going on. Students really tell me what's actually going on, which may or may not be in line with what I think is happening. So.
And was becoming president always on the horizon for you, or did it just randomly happen?
To be honest, it's funny because no, I would have never have guessed that I would be president. And when I was blessed with the recent PhD from the Assumption University, in my speech, I indicated I'm a pretty big fan of Bubba Watson's. Not sure if you've heard of him. And in one of his speeches, when he won one of the, I think his first Masters, they asked him, did you ever think you would win? And he said, I never got that far in my dreams. And that's exactly how I felt pretty much throughout my career at St. Clair College. And I had a lot of, as I mentioned, mentors along the way that at times tapped me, encouraged me, and encouraged me to go to the next step. And I always was willing to try something new. And to be honest, volunteer for those jobs and those opportunities that nobody wants, that there's not a lot of hands up. And then I just took the opportunity to learn what I could. and really have a variety of experiences that I could draw on. So no, never thought I would be president, and was happy always in the positions that I held. And it's funny because when I did my interview also for St. Clair College as president, I really didn't want to just be President Lyndon. I wanted to be president of St. Clair College. I grew up in Windsor. This community is near and dear to my heart. You know, when you work with people as long as I have, they become friends. And the community and the college family and St. Clair is important to me personally and professionally.
No, that's good to know, and especially how you didn't plan to be in this position. Were there, I guess, certain skills or something that really shined a light on you as you were climbing this leadership ladder that really got the attention of some of the managers that you were under at the time? Like, I guess, what skills could be beneficial to somebody that's looking to go into this position?
You know, again, I think a variety of experiences. I always was big into lifelong learning. So
Hmm.
I'm a graduate of St. Clair and I graduated from the IT program. And it took me 10 long years to get my degree. I was a single mom at the time, and to be honest, I did one course a semester. I think one semester I did two while I was working full time and raising my son, and it just about killed me. And I thought that's okay. Steady and sure is better than not doing it. So it took me a decade to get my degree, and then I went on to get my master's, and I did a 5-year program in 18 months. So did that one a little bit faster, but lifelong learning was really important to me to make sure that I just always expanded my thoughts. My master's was really good from a self-reflection perspective. And I think my IT skills has always really helped me look at things. And although, you know, I sometimes lead from my heart, I'm a data girl and I like the data and to be able to make sure that your decisions are, you know, you have something to substantiate them by.
Hmm. And you mentioned a few other universities. I believe you're alumnus of Brock and then St. Francis Xavier in adult education. That must have, studying in another educational institution must have given you a different lens now as president at the college.
It does, and it did, and it was interesting because Brock was done actually. Brock classes were taking place at St. Clair College, and we had a partnership with them. And my St. Francis Xavier had a very interesting adult ed master's program that was community based, and they
Hmm.
had a 3-week residency in Nova Scotia that I thought, how am I going to manage to go out there for 3 weeks? And I really wasn't looking forward to it. And when I was done the 3 weeks, I remember telling them, don't ever change it because it really gave me a perspective and a connection to that university. And the first year I was president, I actually visited a lot of my colleagues in Ontario and other colleges and universities in the States and around the world because there's lots of things you can learn from others, best practices. People are always eager to share. And
Hmm.
I think the US does a really good job on campus beautification, which was one of my strategies to make sure that our campus looks and feels loved. And I think US does a really good job on some of that. Certainly being able to go to different universities, I think again, has just made me, then always come back and say, well, what are we doing and are we doing that better? And if we weren't, can we? And leverage some of the knowledge that I gained from those visits.
And you mentioned beautification in a college in the States. I guess what stood out for you for whatever their campus looked like inside and outside that you try to replicate in at St. Clair.
Just everything from when the
Hmm.
minute you pulled into the parking lot to their presence to their green space to the common space with students. I mean, we have absolutely amazing faculty and our student engagement with our faculty is tremendous. But when students come on campus, it's hard for them to really see and feel that while they're on campus. As with they walk around, and normally if we can get them on campus, we often solidify that application to a registration because again, and if you haven't been on St. Clair College's campuses for a while, please do come. Linda, that invitation
It's
goes to you
changing.
too. It's changed. It's changed. It continues to change. And everything from the cabana entrance to our entrance off of 401 to our sports park. Again, from the minute you drive in, I want you to say, wow. And I really want there to be a presence and, make sure that, students understand that this is where they will be, and that it's important to us, and having that presence and making it look loved and feel loved and make sure students feel welcomed was part of our strategic directions for the last several years.
I mean, I'm a graduate of University of Windsor, but one thing I was blown away by, visiting the college and just seeing it in the news is the modern facilities that are being built. I mean, you talk about the residency using I don't know, was it storage containers? There's or some type of steel that you use to build the, I guess, Z modular
Yes, it was the first
residency.
CMOD building in Canada, and it was a really interesting and amazing project. We had some of our construction students participate and watch. Work integrated learning is integrated in all of our programs, but there's an example of, you couldn't have made a better project for our students and have that experience. And
Hmm.
Zaymod and the Zuckelmans were amazing partners. So we were very lucky to be able to do that. And it's very different than a traditional build that you would have.
Yeah, that's just it's amazing to see the growth. We talk about the sportsplex and the new business school that just opened up, and so much more. It's really impressive, and it's great to hear that there's that student integrated learning opportunity for students that are in the skilled trades that want to get involved in some of these projects happening right out their classroom door. But Patty, if you don't mind, I just want to jump to a couple questions that came in the comments, and then we'll flip back to
Sure.
some that I had left for you. Colin Topliff says, "What's the best advice you have for young leaders after post-secondary education?"
Well, hi, Colin. First of all, Colin was part of our student government here at St. Clair College, and has provided tons of advice that was used in some of our strategies, and a strong student advocate. But I think the best advice after post-secondary education is, really try and take the opportunity to, again, expand your experiences. And you can do that not only from your workplace, but even if you want different experiences, you want to expand that resume, volunteer work can be great. I participate on many boards, have throughout my career at St. Clair College, and it's a great professional development opportunity. It really allows me to think and look at things that I wouldn't necessarily be able to have the opportunity to do, in addition to, getting connected with the community and just meeting people, and creating relationships, and opportunities come from those relationships. So, continue education. I think I had talked about lifelong learning. I think that's really important. But lifelong learning can be formal and informal. And volunteer work and coaching and all of those things that help our community be a wonderful place to live, work, and play can also be an opportunity to expand your resume and experiences that you can draw on for your career.
Awesome. No, great to hear, and fantastic advice, Colin. Thanks for jumping on. One more question that came in. It's a bit of a long one, but I'll get through it. Hello, I'm a student at St. Clair College, Mississauga, studying social service worker. Uh, I am completing my course tomorrow, and also completed co-op in a retirement residence. And it would be great if I can get advice regarding how I can get my field job.
Well, again, I would leverage, since you're just graduating, I would leverage some of your connections that you made at the college with ACE Acumen. If you're in Mississauga, you're with ACE Acumen, you've got a great coordinator from that program. So often institutions are asked for references, and if there's job opportunities. So I would reach out to your faculty to see if they know of anything, ask if you can use them as references, faculty and contacts at the institution can be a great reference, and make sure that you really stay active on where there's job postings and things like that. And again, even volunteering out in that industry can be a great opportunity for them to get to see you, know your skills, and when a job opportunity comes up, then say you would be perfect.
and just emphasizing the connections piece, how does one, I guess, build those throughout university? And I mean, you're doing it as president in a professional setting as well. How do you build those connections in a, I guess, in a an effective way?
And again, really leverage the community and volunteer work. First of all,
Hmm.
there's a million volunteers, everything from Big Brother, Big Sister, to hospice,
Yeah.
to volunteering at a hospital, volunteering at a community college, a university. So I was doing that well before I became senior management. Again,
Hmm.
it gave me, I think, a stronger connection to my community, but it does allow you to create connections and relationships while you're expanding your knowledge. And leadership comes in a multitude of facets. You can, if you're coaching, if you're an assistant coach, you're actually leading, and you're leading youth, big brother, big sister. You're an advisor, you're a role model, you're a mentor. So
Hmm.
just some of those small examples, Lyndon. It doesn't have to be anything sophisticated. It doesn't
Yep.
have to be a board position. It can just be any way where you believe that you can make a difference, and then really take that opportunity. And I think too, when you're giving back, you feel really good about it. Not only
Hmm.
does it build your connections with people and can help you get a job, it also makes you really feel good about what you're doing for other individuals.
Now, is there anything that you do specifically after you've met someone to continue that relationship?
Keeping connected is important. So often when I meet somebody, when I've had an opportunity, I often take the opportunity to send them a quick email, just say thank you for something that they've done for me. Or when it was earlier on, just, indicate that it was a pleasure meeting them.
Hmm.
Um, and, often we don't do that. Life is so busy that we don't take, a time, even a card, even a letter. I'll give you a small example of the people who help support donations for scholarships. We encourage our recipients to write a letter to the donor, and it builds a relationship. Again, you're creating
Hmm.
a connection. And not only, hopefully, do you feel really good about that, you've also solidified to the donor what their actions have meant to that individual. And often it's as simple as that, as an example, that you can create a lifelong friend for.
Hmm. No, no doubt. And I think one thing that's fading away a bit is writing letters.
Absolutely. And I do it more, or just a card with an actual signature, because people just don't do those things anymore. It's a
Yeah.
personal touch. And um, I personally think it's a little bit nicer than just an email. It's just one
Hmm.
more email in your inbox, opposed to a card that you'll get that someone will keep on their desk for a while.
Yeah, it's the fact that somebody went out of their way to, I guess, drop it off in a mailbox and physically write it down, right? It's you're not taking the quick way to correspond with them. You're writing a personal note. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. And your
And just
teachers always like to know too what you're
yeah.
doing. So to the recent graduate, stay in touch with your teacher. We'd love to know what our alumnus and our graduates are doing. And
Hmm.
again, there may not be anything today that pops in mind. 3 months from now, 6 months from now, something may come up, where, when you've had that conversation with the teacher, they think you'd be perfect. So just because, the first time you reach out, nothing, there's no instant ramification or gratification. It doesn't mean it won't come.
And how many alumni would you say are from St. Clair College? There must be thousands.
Oh yes, we're over 100,000 strong now. We're certainly getting up there, and that includes our friends in the Toronto campuses.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's good to see that a lot of them are staying connected, like you said, following up with their professors as they've entered the real world, or becoming donors later on in their career. So it's really good that institutions place a focus on capturing their alumni to mentor students down the line as well.
Absolutely.
And
And we have alumni of distinction, Lyndon. So every single one of our graduates could be that alumni of distinction. So
yes, I see that all the time, and it's good to see some of my friends that went to the college as well, just getting that extra recognition for community work. Now, moving on a bit to the topic of mentorship for you as a higher education leader, was there anyone that you were looking up to as you were climbing this leadership ladder at St. Clair College?
Again, I think I mentioned earlier in the conversation, I have been so blessed to have so many mentors in my life,
Hmm.
even when I was in support staff. Bosses become unofficial mentors. When I moved into management, again, relationships and some of my volunteer work. Carol Derbyshire has been near and dear to my heart. I know she's no longer the CEO of hospice, but again, through my journey and her journey, just she really taught me the power of kindness and to
Hmm.
give back. And she's been a strong presence in my life, in my master's and in my adult education program at Brock. Malcolm Knowles was a pretty big impactor to me. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he created andragogy, which is, the theories behind adult education. And
Okay.
that was pretty near and dear to my heart because adults learn differently than children.
Hmm.
And then just for the most part, people that push me gently. I know I mentioned Mr. Taunton earlier, to say, well, why don't you try this job? And I often with my own staff, I like to say we're going to stretch you, not break you, so that we give you opportunities. Reaching outside of your comfort zone allows you to grow, personally and professionally. So I'm always encouraging people to take on tasks or projects, so that we can stretch you, not break you, to just expand your experience and your knowledge.
And on the topic of expand, I have to leave you with a final question. And being president for this might be it's your seventh year, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
I'm going into my eighth. Yes.
Fantastic. Where do you see the college moving, let's say the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you want to take it?
Well, we had a 10-year plan, and I'm really happy and that we have pretty much solidified that. So the next few years, you'll see less buildings, but a few extra ones. We want to do a welcome center, and that's really to solidify service excellence for our students, so that
Hmm.
we can really have a one-stop shop. Rather than our students go to multiple areas within the institution and line up in multiple areas, that they can go to one, relax, and we will serve them. So that's one of the buildings that we're hoping to do over the next 24 months. And then if you certainly talk to students, and I know Colin is listening, parking, 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 and more parking. So we did an RFP a few years ago to do a parking garage. Unfortunately, we didn't have anybody that was successful in that RFP, but we are looking at doing a parking garage, not a garage, a parking deck. A garage is a bit too expensive for us, but we're going to do a parking deck. We also don't want to take away all of our green space. And
Yep.
certainly, I do listen to students. Not only is it parking, but they want close parking. So they don't want to walk too far. So parking is something that we're trying to address again over the next few years.
It's a hot commodity, and just going into my MBA program at the university, we're constantly refreshing the parking pass page to purchase a pass for the year. It's just things like that, like just the small student services that you can have while you're on campus means a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Patty, I really want to say thank you, and thank you to actually John Fairley, who hit me up with a bunch of questions and a background on you and all the exciting things that are happening at St. Clair College in the past number of years since you were president. So I appreciate your leadership and jumping on and connecting with so many students that popped in and said hello.
Okay, well, thank you, Lyndon. And I have one question for you, if I may.
Of course.
Who did your artistic drawing of your cartoon?
That was me. I actually used a super cheap platform called Canva that I bet you a lot of university students or and college students are using. It's super easy, and I just a little. I guess it's plug and play, you call it, and nothing fancy. I didn't design it or anything like that. But
But
yeah,
it's a good likeness, and it's fun. So I like it. So well done.
hey, it has to be edited. I'm not wearing my glasses as you can see in it. So
Yeah.
but thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay.
And everyone who jumped on, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you soon.